Okay, abusua Cocoabod ehon sensem na eguso airdrop latest update eguso edemama abusua enye asem keto akra na Randy Abi aba betena ase a chese wa brief here on Cocoabod issues mesa NPP for creatina abusua Cocoabod honorable Randy Abi kasa no ankasa no ohwe na pressure ewo ne so abusua Nesema odi tudwa no wa reveal NPP for contract bia awards bia omede ma amanfo omo contract omo award amanfo contract bia sa contract no abusua almost 21.5 billion old currency abusua sa contract na omede ma former NPP appointees Akufo-Addo na appointees no abusua sa contract ni na NPP for no omo anye omo di sika no ewo mo no enti honorable anasa Dr. Randy Abi a reveal eliki awarded contract bia omo de ma NPP nkofo bia abusua omo anye sa contract no 21.5 billion according to honorable Randy Abi Dr. Randy Abi no abusua yense momre mom yenko na yenkonko tie ensema secret upon secret Randy Abi tuja unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na be any update be able drop no onso onsa ebetumi akabi gossip politics TV, so and don't forget to hit on the notification bell madam ase
to be able to go and this bias model and the syndication are all foreign banks, external, either buyers or foreign banks. Can we do something domestic? Can we change the narrative? That is possible. If you look at where the economy is going to and the numbers that are coming up, it should be better for this country to be able to, for Cocoabod to be able to do that. But you also needed to work on Cocoabod's books.
You're right.
Because Cocoabod had a negative equity of about 3.9 billion.
And then what does it mean, working on your books?
So if you look at your debt profile, you look at your equity level, the banks will obviously look at your financial position. And that is why we needed to get some decisions taken by cabinet, especially the issue of conversion of the debts of Ministry of Finance, some of the debts of Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana. And also the issue of the cocoa roast. If you take the cocoa roast, for example, and I'm happy Michael is here. Under the IMF program, I heard the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Anta, refer to IMF and IMF. Under the IMF program, Cocoabod committed to, because Cocoabod had signed cocoa roast from 2014 to 2024, 26.5 billion of cocoa roast. In 3 years, 2018, 2019, 19, 20, 2021, Cocoabod signed 21.5 billion out of this 26 billion worth of cocoa roast. 3 years, 21.5 billion.
Okay.
Now, Cocoabod committed to, in the IMF program, to do what they call a rationalization exercise, to reduce this indebtedness or this commitment from 21.7 billion at the time to 6.9 billion.
Yeah.
I got into office only to find out that for 2 years, Cocoabod didn't do it. They didn't do nothing. So it took me to go to the finance minister, for the finance minister to get the roads minister for us to sit. Within 6 weeks, we had completed this rationalization exercise to reduce the exposure from 21.7 billion to 4.35 billion. And that is the 4.35 billion that the finance minister requested of cabinet to move from Cocoabod's books to the Ministry of Roads and Ministry of Finance, so that the books also look better. So these are some of the practical steps we're doing to clean the books, to be able to let Cocoabod, with the backing of government, now go into the market and get these bonds. To be able to finance the crop.
So, Michael, in a minute, you, the opposition, actually say you don't really see solutions. You held your press conference before the minister made the announcement, correct? So, do you have a changed position?
No.
Reality check, or you still insist on all the demands you made?
Samson, our position is still the same, because in Ghana, the farmer has always gotten a guaranteed price. So once you came in to announce a price for the farmer and you claim you sold 82% of your cocoa, Why can't you give the farmer that price? At least.
But you know the difference between the political talk and the reality.
The best you could have done was to give the farmer the same price till the end of the season. The season will end in October, and now we are in the light.
So what is your proposal? Where do you go for money to take care of what you're talking about?
But where are they getting the money to take care of the 150 million? From the same government. The same government. Cocoabod has been supporting the same government in many activities. For instance, the Bui Dam.
That's right.
Okay. Government has been paying money to Cocoabod for Bui Dam. So government knows that at every point in time.
What do you mean by the Bui Dam?
Bui Dam, Cocoabod uses collateralized cocoa to pay for.
And the Minister of Finance pays Cocoabod.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
So what is?
So government pays.
It's like government is buying cocoa from you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Or even
what are you doing?
Even the road sector alone.
Exactly. A lot of things that Cocoabod has done a lot for government. So if government is coming in within this short period, from now to October, to support Cocoabod, to support the farmers, then after the new season, the October season, which will be coming, we can then all sit down and say, okay, the prices have dropped. So this is the new situation. But as it stands now, reducing the price from 3,625 to 2,500 is a no-brainer. And you know what is quite interesting is listening to Dr. Randy Abbey and Inusaf, Honorable.
No problem.
I'm flabbergasted because how can you sit here and continue to say, oh, you created a rollover as if it was intentionally created when you know that there was an El Nino effect, which is a dry spell, and it is because of that El Nino effect that made prices go up. If the El Nino effect had not happened, prices will not go up.
Okay.
When you know, Dr. Randy Abbey sat here and said they use 16 to price 2024. When you know it was 15,
I didn't say
you said they.
Yes.
You said
and the part of your demand and your part of your demand,
even if it was 50.
Even so you know it was 50.
No, I'm saying.
So why do you use?
No, hold on.
Most of the figures you churn out.
Mike, the part of your demand for his removal. The part of your demand for his removal. What's the basis and how does that resolve the problem?
Ranga came into office. First of all, he took a decision not to sell for it. Yes.
What is the meaning of it?
You were supposed to give the mandate to.
What is the meaning of it? How did we sell it to 2%?
And then we got into the situation we are.
How did we sell it to 2%?
Apart from that, you come out.
How did we sell
and announce that Cocoabod has 50,000 metric tons? The day you announced, prices had dropped to 4,200. The day you announced that Cocoabod had 50,000 metric tons unsold cocoa.
But you're not keeping fidelity to the fact
the market reacted and price dropped to 3,600.
Sale of 24-25.
I'm coming. Prices dropped to 3,600. And the chief executive, the chief scribe of Cocoabod, he didn't know that his words could even affect the market. He was out saying that how can my words affect the price in Ecuador? For a chief executive, you didn't even know this.
I think it's important for me to address this issue.
In 30 seconds.
Look, the price dropped up to 4,200. What made it?
On the 6th, it dropped to 4,200.
I'm asking you.
Speculators.
Ask a question.
The reduction to 4,200, was it on the basis of the fact that I had said that we had 50,000?
No, the 4,200 was the glut.
But then something.
I'm coming to
you. Something, Oliver, and something. I think that it's important that Michael looks in the face of the Ghanaian people and explain to them how come Cocoabod awarded 21.5 billion cedis worth of contracts in 3 years when there was no.
It dropped to 4,200.
I'm asking you.
Speculators.
Ask a question.
The reduction to 4,200, was it on the basis of the fact that I had said that we had 50,000?
No, the 4,200 was the glut. But then
something.
I'm coming to you.
Something, Oliver, and something. I think that it's important that Michael looks in the face of the Ghanaian people and explain to them how come Cocoabod awarded 21.5 billion cedis worth of contracts in 3 years when there was no budgetary allocation for that one. 2, he should look
you give me the opportunity.
He should look at Dana here and the farmers there and explain to them how come they were importing juice sacks. They were not clearing the juice sacks at the port. They kept importing. To the extent that when they had not cleared over 100,000 bales of juice sacks for 2 years, in 2024, they placed an order for another 80,000 bales, and on the 3rd of December, issued an irrevocable letter of credit for $48 million. He should explain to us why they did that.
We have heard this over and again.
Yes.
Okay, another 30 seconds to you.
No, 30 seconds cannot respond.
No, I'm sorry, but I have to move on. Otherwise,
from 25 to 26. Now, if you have one which also deals with the world market price, that will also tell you that you have an unprecedented situation of the farm gate prices dropping, because there's also an unprecedented situation of the world market price also dropping sharply. And I think that will just fully tell the story.
All right, Kofi, so that's feedback for you.
Yes. Now, we are where we are because our bean is not competitive, the price of our bean, as compared to other origins. And you also have a buyer-funded model.
Our beans is more expensive.
Yes.
Comparatively.
And the gap is too wide. And it's the reason why you have a situation where there are complaints that we've given beans, they've not been bought. We have beans, they are not buying, yet there's no smuggling. Last year, you didn't have a situation of we have supplied beans, they've not been bought. We have beans, they are not buying. Yet there was massive smuggling. Almost on a daily basis, we had arrests or reports of smuggling, to the extent that we even had national security meetings on smuggling just last year, because we were paying $3,100, and if you go to places like Togo, who operate close to the price on the terminal, they were operating 6,000 and upwards. And so you had a situation where there were merchants who were actually coming onto the farms to even buy from the farmers, and the farmers didn't even need to smuggle the good themselves. These people will come
because they were paying us almost twice as much.
Yes. And so although last year you didn't find the situation of there's no money to buy the crop, we have given our bean, it's not been sold, we had massive smuggling. But this year, you do not have incidents of smuggling, even when you have situation of farmers saying that I gave my bean, I've not been paid, we have beans, they are not buying. And I will use the story of Volta and OT to illustrate this point. For the entire 24-25 season, Volta and OT contributed 97 tons to the 590-something thousand, almost 600,000 tons that we made for 24-25. This year, as at December, Volta and OT had contributed 2,500 tons. And you hear a lot of complaints just by close of December, about 2,500 tons. From the same area, that contributed just 97 tons. And so it is really a pricing issue. And that is why even in this situation, we needed to be careful with the decision that we took, because we also needed to have our eye on reverse smuggling. You go trying to solve a problem, and before you realize, you think that you're solving a 70,000 ton problem, only to have 400,000 tons of cocoa arrive in your country. We know what is happening everywhere around us. There are countries that have not announced a reduction, but we know what is happening on the ground.
Explain the reverse smuggling again.
Reverse smuggling simply means, first of all, for all the communities that are along the border, it's trite knowledge that they operate in two markets. So they look at which market is favorable to them. Beyond them, as I gave the story of Volta and OT to illustrate the point, they look at what the conditions are. And that is why we always look at Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire pricing, because the research shows that anytime there is a gap of more than $400, the incidence of smuggling is very high. That's per ton. The incidence of smuggling is very high. And so you try to ensure that to deal with smuggling, you do not have that gap. Because when it is below that, you do not have an incentive to smuggle, especially in large quantities.
Right.
And so when you have that huge difference where you're paying $3,100 and the spot price is in excess of $6,000, $7,000, then the motivation is there. And that's why I said people will even come to the farms, give the farmers 5,000, and the farmers didn't even need to take the risk of smuggling. It was enough good business for others to decide to then do the smuggling themselves.
That's right.
And so you had massive smuggling, some even using vehicles that, 4x4s, they were using hospital ambulances and all that. So for last year, every single day, we had an issue with smuggling. And it is just because of the difference between what we were offering and what our neighbors were offering. This time round, you have a situation where what we are offering and the spot price has a gap of over $1,000 US dollars, or even $2,000 US dollars in some instances. And therefore, there is no motivation, for smuggling. But the reverse smuggling would then mean that if you continue to pay, and why we didn't have the reverse smuggling, although the amount was that there was no liquidity. So even those who intend to smuggle know that Ghana is not buying. But immediately Ghana starts buying and starts buying at that rate, there will be the motivation for those around us to then bring in a lot of the cocoa. We all know what is happening in Cote d'Ivoire. I'm sure that in your research you would have seen the farmers in Cote d'Ivoire complaining. There's an EU24 interview, Euronews 24 interview of farmers talking about their produce rotting away on their farms and their warehouses and all that. Now, in a situation where Ghana has liquidity and is buying, and the price is at that level, there will be an incentive to smuggle. So that's why I said that if you're not careful, you might think that you're solving a 70,000 ton problem, only to be confronted with a 400,000, a 400,000 or 500,000 ton problem, which is then going to mess up your loss situation completely.
Just a quick side issue.
Yeah.
From what you're saying, I get a revelation that where, say, Cote d'Ivoire is doing 2 million, and we are struggling to get to 1 million, even though we have done that before. I remember Kufuor's regime when we got to that point, and there was celebration that greeted it. So it's not exactly the case that what we record has been what we produce, because you have to discount what may have been smuggled.
Yes. So I'll give you an example. For Cocoabod projected a crop of 800,000. At the end of the season, Cocoabod had done 438,000. And that's the situation that led to the rollover of about 333,000 tons. Now, something significant happened. And that was the year that the syndicated loan collapsed after 32 years. Now, for the first time, the season opened in September. The first tranche of the syndicated loan hit Cocoabod's account on the 22nd of December. According to Likobag at their press conference, the first time they received money was January 26 of 2024. So what it meant was that the season opened in September, and if I just give a little explanation so that people then appreciate this. Under the syndicated loan regime, Cocoabod would then make a projection of its crop output, and then also a projection of the price. And then on the basis of that, Cocoabod would then give a mandate to the cocoa marketing company to go and sign contracts on the basis of how much Cocoabod expects to spend in purchasing the crop. So let's say Cocoabod makes a projection of 600,000 with a price of 5,000. And so they ask CMC to say, go and sign contracts of 500,000. 500,000, not less than $5,000. So they go sign this. And Cocoabod needs, let's say, $1.8 billion. And the financing cost of maybe some 120 million. So CMC will sign these contracts, 500,000 tons with international buyers at not less than $5,000. These contracts are what Cocoabod sends to the consortium of banks, the syndicated banks, as collateral. So this is raw beans contract. So Cocoabod commits to supply 500,000 of its expected 600,000 output, raw beans, to these suppliers, who then have signed a contract to buy the beans at this price. Now, once the banks receive this, they then, on the basis of that, look, we have a 2.5 billion CD collateral, dollar collateral. Cocoabod needs 1.8 billion plus financing cost is less, 1.92 billion. So we'll release the money on agreed tranches. This money comes to the central bank. The central bank gives Cocoabod, the cedi equivalent, Bank of Ghana rate. Then out of this money received by Cocoabod then gives what is called seed fund to the license buying companies. So the license buying companies then use these seed funds to buy the cocoa from the farmers on behalf of Cocoabod. Now you had a situation where in 23-24, the season opened in September. September, October, November, December, the LBCs had not been given any seed fund to buy the bean. Now, this is at the peak of your main crop season. What do you think would have happened during this period? For all this period. So some of the LBCs had to by themselves go and take loans to try and go on the market and all that. But the seed fund that usually is given to this LBCs maybe by mid-September or third week in September to go and buy the crop on behalf of Cocoabod was not available. In a situation like that, you shouldn't be surprised if there is smuggling.
There's the suggestion that you could have preempted something sometime in November.
Okay, abusuya, Dr. Randy Abi and I yetsen in car or the Emma NPP for left, right, center back on one casan eja egunichimno and ye eja ketwana yeguso ever drop a update any update on Cocoabod mess a course during a 8 years tenure of a former president Akufo-Addo. And another baba breaky at the mama say a cabinet order attorney general say on your forensic audit and a massive investigations on a Cocoabod mess no ya better matter some Japanese Cocotisa and some way at the my a gossip politics TV. So and don't forget to hit on the notification bell so any updates we ever dropping on so once a bit to me akabi medamase.